good evening. Another episode of Dr. Raheem Speaks to the NABC family. And today I have a very special guest. Um, it's one of my academic daughters. This young lady, she came into my office and said she wanted to be a counselor and work in student affairs. And she said I was mean to her, but I don't think I was. But we got her in and we got her through. And I think the way I'll let her tell the story, but the way she tells the story, she had to prove me wrong. And I'm glad she did, if that's the factual case. But I would like for everyone to meet one of my academic daughters, Clarke-Lauren, and I'll let her tell you a little bit more about herself.
So reflecting back now, were you mean? Yes. But I felt that you also at the same time gave me that motivation to prove you wrong. And how we met is basically I came to you and I expressed how I wanted it to apply to the master's program in student affairs college counseling. You took a look at my transcripts and was like, I don't think you're gonna get in with that GPA. And I was like, bet. And I think that was the fire in the fuel that I needed to really push myself. Because the following semesters, I did perform academically well and did raise up my GPA. But I also knew, like, okay, I got to take a class with this professor because if you were able to challenge me as I was applying to grad school, I knew that you would challenge me as a counselor, in which you have and continue to do. So that is a little bit about how we met, Dr. Raheem, academic author. But basically, a little bit about me is that I serve as an academic counselor at Fresno City College. I work in the transfer center. I serve as their co-lead transfer counselor. I have experience working with groups, first generational students. I serve on our African American student success team to ensure that we are promoting equity and diversity within higher education and making sure that, I serve as an advocate for students who were once in my position, because I also was a transfer student, and understand how hard it can be navigating through higher education if you don't have support and if you don't have advocates. That's a little bit about me and where I'm at right now currently with my position.
Awesome, awesome. Um, but I do have to say to everyone that um, if I did challenge Clarke-Lauren, I am so glad I did because when she came to my classes, she had a fire to where it was like, you're not going to intimidate me, you're not going to scare me, and I'm going to prove to you that I belong here, right? And I have the belief system that if you can survive my course, every other course is going to be a piece of cake. And I don't think I'm the most difficult, hard professor there is or anything like that. But I think one of the things I like to try to intimidate and scare, but it's a protective factor so students won't realize how soft I am and what a pushover I am. So they won't be coming to my office asking for extensions, knowing that I'm going to give them, asking for extra credit. Well, I knew you don't give extra credit. I'll give a makeup assignment, but I'm usually going to give extra credit. But so it's like that's one of the things. But it's like I I like the fact, and I don't know if you went through this, but a lot of the students, that I had at Fresno State that were, especially that were black students, when they took my class, had the attitude of, I'm going to do extremely well because he's one of the only black professors here, and he's the only black male professor here. So I'm going to do well in this class. Not in the sense to where he's going to give me a good grade, but I'm going to try harder than any other class. And with that being said, I know the population of Fresno City, as far as the workforce is concerned. So I'm sure in your office site where you do a lot of your work with helping first generational students and helping students that are underrepresented. Do you at times feel that same drive to when they see you is almost like a sense of pride, and that they feel that they really have to put their best foot forward because it's like you're maybe consciously or unconsciously challenging them to excel?
So for like with my students that I serve or come into contact with, I really feel like it just really depends on the maturity level, where they're at in life. If they break and trying to come back. Um, and a lot of it's done also through like mentorship. Like I've interacted with, Black and African American students, and the ones that are kind of like, I just kind of have that conversation with them, meet them where they're at, and just be real and transparent. And I tell them, like, I'm not going to be your mama. I'll be honest, because I'm too old to be your mom. I'm too young to be your mama. But it's more so like, I can help you reach your academic goals, but I'm not doing all the work for you. And I do feel that I do go above and beyond, especially with our Black identified or African American students, because they need the support. They may not have that support group, or in their community. So I let them know immediately, like, I am your counselor now. These are Black faculty and staff that you can, lean on during your academic journey here at City College. Because, I would say with Gen Z, I love their fiery spirit as well. But I also know that there are some professionalism skills that they can definitely benefit from us millennials on. And, I just tell my students, I'm just like, are entering your adult life, there are certain things that you should know, like your student rights, how to advocate for yourself, knowing the chain of command, so that if there is a student complaint on you, or if you need to file a peer report or a faculty complaint, you know exactly the steps that you need to take in order to do that. And also at the same time, just like reassuring them that, yeah, being an adult and being a transfer or college student, it's hard, and it's not easy, but it's what you make of this experience. And I say that a good chunk of my advising is social and emotional. Yes, especially, as we are somewhat coming out of the pandemic, but also still in a pandemic but also entering a recession. I do a lot of social and emotional counseling because at the end of the day, I'm a counselor. Although I'm an academic counselor, I just don't do academic advising. Because if a student comes into an appointment and I can obviously tell that they're in crisis, like, we're not going to talk about any of that academic stuff. I'm going to check in with them. I'm going to offer support. I'm going to listen. I'm not going to judge. And we're going to come up with a plan so that they can get through the day or through the hour or through the week. And then we can always reschedule an academic counseling. Go back to your initial question. I do feel that, once students get to know me and see what all I can do for them, they definitely approach me and reach out and say, like, oh my gosh, I'm glad you're here. Like, they will find me on campus. And I can say once we built that relationship and rapport, the expectation of the student is definitely clear, and they understand, like, okay, I'm not going to waste your time. You're not going to waste your time. We're going to handle stuff, and you're going to be successful.
Awesome. So, what drove you? What avenues got you to decide that this was going to be your career path?
I honestly fell into college counseling.
Okay.
Um, During undergrad and graduate school at Fresno State, I was working on campus in their student service department. I was in admissions and recruitment, surrounded by counselors. And my undergrad is in mass communications and journalism, but I fell out of love with one passion that's still somewhat a passion and found a new passion that fueled my soul. And I also saw that there was definitely a need for more Black representation in higher education. And I knew it was something that I loved doing. Like, I love working with people. I love, being able to help them resolve issues and making sure that they reach and meet their goals and dreams. So being surrounded by counselors and having, amazing counselors that helped me transfer, get into state and seeing the work that they did, I definitely wanted to pursue, a career in counseling.
Awesome. What are some of the obstacles and pitfalls you see uh, that your students are being challenged with, and what are some of the things are you doing to kind of help them navigate their way through Fresno City?
I think some of the challenges that I see that students are faced with is like I'm a student, yeah. I think a lot of it is just that there is definitely an achievement gap. Graduation rates are low for African American Black students, especially our male students. Um, I also know that many of our students have food and financial insecurities. And how I support them is I definitely share my experiences being a transfer student. I always do intrusive counseling, so there's always those follow-ups, providing them with resources and support, and also just being an advocate. Uh, you know, with my position, I can advocate, I can voice some of the frustrations and insecurities and disadvantages our students are faced with. I serve on our African American Student Success Committee, and we just recently had like a summer bridge event where we, gave them a campus tour, let them know about all the resources that are available on campus. Because sometimes our students will just show up, go to class, and leave and not really advantage of all the resources that are out there for them. They also got different presentations from different departments on campuses so that they are knowledgeable about the services that they provide. And of course, like just being able to feed them is the biggest thing. And also, let them know that there is a community for them on campus and there is faculty, staff that are there to support them and advocate for them as and when needed. But like there are many challenges our students face, and unfortunately, sometimes they are unable to tackle all those challenges by themselves because they just don't know how to handle those situations. And then, like a lot of our students also suffer from mental health challenges and illnesses. Black community, we have a lot of generational trauma that we continue to pass down generation to generation. I'm a big advocate on protecting one's peace and maintaining boundaries, as well as making time for self care. And as a Black counselor, if they're coming to me in crisis and they disclose to me that they are depressed and they're isolating, they're engaging in risky behavior, the first thing I ask them is like, have you talked to someone? Do you have a therapist? And I self-disclose and let them know that, I go to therapy. It's because of the generational trauma that I experienced during my childhood. And, it's okay. And I also let them know that it's also okay not to be okay. I know that some days are going to be good, some days are going to be bad. I just want them to know that there is someone or there is a community at City that does care about them and wants them to be successful.
Wow, very very powerful. You're doing such great work with so many individuals, and I'm sure you've changed so many lives and helped direct so many people down the path. Want to thank you for joining me in this interview and discussion. Is there any way if anyone want to reach out and contact you? Is there any contact information you would like to disclose?
Okay, so if anyone does want to reach out to me, they can send me an email. It's going to be Clarke, CLARKE, hyphen Lauren, LAUREN dot Richard, RICHARD, at citycollege.edu. And they can also reach out to us by phone. Our phone number is 559 442 82.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Clarke Lauren or Miss Clarke Lauren.